Welcome to Issue Management in Business, a structured approach to identifying, analyzing, and resolving business issues before they become crises. The goal is not simply to react when something goes wrong, but to recognize potential threats early and address them thoughtfully. Effective issue management turns challenges into opportunities for organizational improvement. Throughout this presentation, we'll examine how businesses can create greater awareness, respond more deliberately, and strengthen their ability to navigate changing environments and concepts. Business disruptions rarely happen all at once. More often, they develop gradually when smaller issues are overlooked or left unmanaged. Without a structured process, teams are pushed into reactive mode, where they spend significantly more time and resources containing damage. Early intervention costs 5 to 10 times less than crisis response. Effective issue management is therefore not just about solving individual problems. It strengthens organizational resilience by creating consistent ways to identify, prioritize, and address challenges before they escalate, helping the organization remain adaptive and agile. Effective issue management follows a disciplined, repeatable cycle, moving from identification to analysis, prioritization, response, and ongoing monitoring. Each phase builds on the one before it. First, we recognize and understand the issue. Then we determine its importance, decide how to respond, and continue monitoring so conditions do not go unnoticed. Skipping any step can weaken the entire process and increase organizational risk. When this cycle becomes a consistent practice, it transforms how the organization handles uncertainty and supports more deliberate decision-making. The first step is issue identification, making sure potential problems become visible before they grow. You can't manage what you don't see. That means scanning the external environment for trends, regulatory changes, and competitive signals, while also creating internal reporting channels where employees can raise concerns without fear. Finally, stakeholder feedback adds an important outside perspective. Customers, suppliers, and partners may notice risks or changes that are not yet apparent internally. Together, these sources create a reliable system for surfacing issues from every corner of the organization. Once issues have been identified, the next step is to determine which ones deserve immediate attention. I evaluate each issue on 2 dimensions: its potential impact on operations, finances, or reputation, and the likelihood that it will actually occur. High impact, high likelihood issues rise to the top because they pose the greatest combined risk. This prioritization creates a practical triage process, helping leaders direct limited time and resources where they can make the biggest difference, rather than treating every issue as equally urgent. Once issues have been prioritized, the organization needs to choose a deliberate response rather than reacting inconsistently. The right strategy depends on the issue's nature, its urgency, and the organization's capacity to act. The 4 options are avoid, mitigate, transfer, and accept. Avoid means eliminating the root cause before escalation. Mitigate reduces likelihood or impact through targeted interventions. Transfer shifts risk to a third party, using insurance contracts or outsourcing. Accept means consciously acknowledging a low-priority issue and monitoring it without taking immediate action. Step 4 focuses on turning strategy into action. A strategy without execution is merely a plan. Effective implementation starts by assigning a single accountable owner to every action item, rather than leaving responsibility with a committee. Communication is equally important, so stakeholders at every level understand their role in the response. Finally, document everything in a living record, including decisions, completed actions, and the reasoning behind them. Clear ownership, clear communication, and thorough documentation keep implementation coordinated, visible, and easier to manage over time. Step 5 is monitoring and review. Resolving an issue is not the end of the process, because conditions can change and previously resolved issues can reemerge. Ongoing surveillance closes the loop. I track the key performance indicators connected to each issue, establish a regular review cadence, weekly, monthly, or quarterly, and compare outcomes against expectations. If the situation worsens despite the response, I escalate immediately. Based on what the monitoring shows, I adjust the strategy and report meaningful developments to leadership. Following the 5 steps is necessary, but it isn't sufficient on its own. High-performing organizations strengthen issue management with 4 additional practices. Cross-functional involvement brings diverse perspectives that uncover issues earlier and lead to stronger solutions. Data-driven decision-making reduces bias and improves prioritization. Psychological safety ensures employees can raise concerns without fear of blame or retaliation. Finally, integrated systems connect issue identification directly to action, reducing the risk that important concerns will be lost between steps. Together, these practices turn issue management from a routine process into a genuine competitive advantage. Even well-designed processes can fail when predictable organizational habits get in the way. The first warning sign is often the one we dismiss, especially when it seems minor or inconvenient. Clear ownership matters too. When an issue belongs to the team, it can end up belonging to no one. Another risk is analysis paralysis, where continued study allows a manageable problem to become a crisis. Finally, without a post-mortem, valuable lessons disappear, and the organization remains vulnerable to repeating the same mistakes. Awareness turns these pitfalls into opportunities for prevention. The key takeaways are straightforward. Follow all 5 steps. Identify, analyze, strategize, implement, and monitor. Prioritize issues by impact and likelihood, because resources are limited. Success also depends on psychological safety, collaboration, and ownership. Finally, treat every resolved issue as a lesson that strengthens the next cycle.